So I want to talk just briefly about the things you need to have in an obituary. Um, there's a lot of stuff you can have, but I think that everybody who reads an obit always wants to know how old was the person. For some reason, I'll be honest, if somebody dies, I want to know how old they were. If they were 99, I want to know that. If they were 22, I want to know that. I want to know how old they were. Usually you want some job information. Usually want to know if they have family, like they have children. And that's, people who die at 95, you're not as concerned. You assume if they have children, their children were prepared for it. But if they're like 42 and they die, then you're kind of like, what about his family or her family? Were they married? Those types of things. Those are things you want to know. So you want to know about family, age, name, where they're from, and you want to know anything significant about their lives, like where they've lived, what kinds of things they've done. You're basically trying to paint a picture of this person in their life. And so you want to get as much information as possible. You want to get where they went to school, what made them unique, what made them interesting. But those are kind of your key things. Usually the way an obituary will start is with something. If the person's well known, you'll use their name. But you'll usually try to lead with something very early on about, what their most significant accomplishment or one of their most significant things is. That way people know why they should read it. You also should include their age in the lead, and you should say that they died. Now, it's always a good thing to somewhere early on give the cause of death, because people are always curious, like, why did this person die? I think it's kind of we're all trying to figure out, like what we need to be worried about for our own mortality. And then, you kind of lead into what their big things are, what their life included. Try to explain, give a sense of their personality, give a sense of who they are, get quotes from people, consider the good and bad, tell about what their life is, give historical context when necessary. But, you're kind of just trying to paint a picture of who this person was and what their life is. And it's mainly going to be done by looking at people who knew the person and are giving you that information after the fact. And what you really want to do is you want to dig into who the person was and give that story. So usually you lead off with kind of that key information, age, the fact they died. If you early on you want to give the cause of death if you have it. Don't go into gruesome detail. That's something for a news story about their death. That's not for an obit. But if they were shot 6 times, you should probably say something about it. You may need a few graphs on that. What honors, awards, survivors, and then towards the end, after you do the chronology and you tell about their life, towards the end it's usually customary to give survivors. If you haven't used that early on, if you have a big thing about, how much they love their wife or their kids and who they were, then that should be fairly early on. But, if you want to get down towards the bottom, usually you give survivors and funeral arrangements, because people want to know that. Other than that, it's fairly straightforward. I would recommend, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on 4 or 5 obits that are, from the newspaper, and like ones that are not, like I said, not paid obits, the ones that are free obits from like the New York Times, Associated Press, other things about significant figures. And I'm going to have you read those, and I'll have you read them, not because I want you, because I want you to see how they're written. And when you read them, you can see how all of them kind of start off with so-and-so died. They tell you who the person was. They give you the age. They give you those kind of attributes. Then after you've read those, there will be a news quiz over those. So the news quiz for this week will be over those obituaries. And then there's a drop box there, and that drop box will be a place for you to write your own obituary. Now, that may sound macabre. Maybe it's something you don't really want to think about, but you can do the obituary for yourself in 2 ways. One is you can just write an honest obit. What do you want to do with your life? That's a significant question. What do you want to do? Do you want to be a world famous writer? Do you want to, have a kid and be known for your family? Do you want to, win the Pulitzer Prize? I don't know what you want to do. Do you want to be the reporter for the, New York Mets or the Yankees or something? I don't know. Everybody's different, right? And so, if I were going to write my obit, that would be, you could write on that. I usually find them kind of sad when people have themselves dying at like 22 or something, because I'm like, live longer than that. And I sometimes, but I'd also say, you can make them kind of fun. You can make it where, like I remember I did this when I was in journalism school, and I lived to be like 350 years old, and I, just made up all kinds of stuff. You can marry some, I had one student who married Zac Efron, as what she did, or, whomever. You have some sort of, you can marry beautiful models and whatever you want to do. That's all part of the fun of that. So you're going to write that obituary. What I'm looking for is I'm going to be looking at the style, the fact that you include the key information, and the fact that you write a story and you kind of follow that that martini glass format. And that's what I'm going to be looking at. Do you use your attribution right? And this is kind of a fun project because you don't have to worry about, you want to make a quote up, just use it properly. You want to make up a life event, make up a life event. It's kind of a fun thing. So you can either do it kind of in a reflective way about what you really would hope you would accomplish in your life, and that's cool. Or you could also do it from the perspective of, I'm just going to be silly and I'm going to make myself do crazy things. I'm going to be this world famous this, and you can do it that way as well. Some people, people become vampire slayers and things that I assume aren't real. Maybe I'm wrong about it. But you just have fun with it, have a good time, and that's what you're going to do. How long does it have to be? As long as you want it to be, right? I mean, obviously, I guess, I would say 500 words would be fairly average, 400, 500 words. That's probably what I would aim at. If you only give yourself 100, 200 words, then, I mean, make yourself do something. I mean, it's your life, you want to do something. I mean, I could write an obituary about myself and the life I've lived currently, and I think I could easily write 1,000 words about myself. So, do that, have a good time with it, and if you have any questions, send me an email. Otherwise, good luck, and make sure to read those obits before you do it. I think those will be helpful.